Hey folks, I am Jim Kirlin. This is Andy Powers, Chief Guitar Designer. Oh. It's always fun to hang out with you, Andy, because I usually come away from the conversation learning something about guitars. And also, usually when we sit down to talk, it's because we have something new to introduce. You've been cooking something up in the shop, and we're now officially ready to roll it out into the world. That's certainly the case today.
Yes,
You've got a cool guitar in your hand.
Yeah, I'm excited for these.
We're flanked by a couple of other versions of this. So today we want to talk about some new additions to the Gold Label collection, right? And as viewers can probably see, these are Grand Pacific body shapes, but it's not your typical Grand Pacific. And we're going to get into that in a second. I just want to tease people with that. Before we get into these guitars, maybe we could step back and could you maybe remind us what the Gold Label collection is? What does that represent? What's the kind of design philosophy that guides these guitars?
The philosophy behind it. What are we trying to achieve with those guitars? Like, what's the goal? What direction are you going to go with it? I don't think it's a surprise to anybody at this point to know that I grew up with a lot of old sounding guitars around, a lot of those records. So I love those sounds. When I think about the kinds of music that people are making now, man, there's a bigger variety than ever. And I want to be building a bigger variety of sounds to let them kind of meet them where they're at and let them take our guitars into different places. So for the longest time, our guitars, they've been known as the modern guitars. It's like the modern acoustic guitar with great playability, super focused and articulate. Cutaway guitars with accessibility for fingerstyle players or jazz players or whatever you want. And while that's great, it's not the only flavor that we like. It's not the only flavor that I like as a player and a builder. And so we started kind of pursuing that, kind of not so much trying to target one specific heritage model or a vintage this or that, but it's interpreting like our inspiration, like our perception of what do those guitars sound like? What feeling do they leave us with? Yeah. And so that's why it's maybe easiest to describe the guitar as having a personality.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? It's the sum of its parts and then some. So you look at those guitars and go, yeah, it's a new guitar, but it has an old soul.
Yeah.
You've used those expressions to see somebody who it's almost like they're stepping out of an earlier era.
Yeah.
Whether by vocation or aesthetic or interest or whatever. Those guitars have a thing that's reminiscent of guitars from generations past.
Okay.
You hear it, you feel it, you even feel it in the strings under your hand. Like I know it's the same scale length, I know it's the same string, but the way that it feels under your fingertips is different than a modern guitar.
Yeah. We introduced the Gold Label collection earlier in 2025. You really talked about three kind of key ingredients when we talked about the sound, because again, a lot of it was about this sound, this flavor that you're trying to create, right? So kind of keyed on three new things that contributed to this new sound. One was a body style, one was the bracing architecture inside the guitar, and another was the neck design, the neck joint, and the way that actually contributes to the sound as well. And with the Gold Label, that first body style was what we've come to know as the Super Auditorium.
Yeah.
Kind of an evolved version of a Grand Auditorium, is it fair to say?
Yeah, it's taking cues from Grand Auditorium, certainly. It's in a similar size range. It's like that much different, like just a little bit. It's got a little bit of Grand Symphony thrown in there. Sure. It's got a little bit of Grand Orchestra thrown in there. It's got a little of almost like the archtop guitar curves that you'd see in like an old jumbo, something like that real smooth sort of thing where the waist isn't quite so cut out. It's got a little more roundness in the lower bow. It's what I'd describe as a classically proportioned set of curves, where all the curves kind of balance each other. So you end up with a perimeter, a body shape that has a lot of air inside that chamber. And so that air, you could think of it almost like the lung power.
Could you unpack that a little bit? When you talk about the guitar's lung capacity, what are we talking about? What does that mean in terms of sound?
Yeah, so with guitars, there's certainly there's subtleties and there's all kinds of different things. But if you were to look at a couple of the major things that affect the sound of a guitar, top bracing, that plays a huge role in the sound of a guitar. The outline, not so much just from the pattern shape, like, the size of a drum, if you were comparing it to a drum, but also the air that's inside that shape encloses. Okay, the resonance of the air mass has an effect that you hear. I think Bob Taylor's described it like the lungs behind somebody's voice box. I mean, you could get a sense of it if you do that, kind of blow across the sound.
Thing,
it's
right,
that whole Helmholtz resonance kind of thing, where you get a sense of it and go, oh, there's like some power behind this. It's what contributes to the bass that you feel more than you hear. It's that kind of thing.
So we started with a super auditorium. Can you talk about the progression from that sound that you created with that guitar and then moving toward another body style, and then what you did with this new body style?
Yeah. I mean, I guess in some ways we could think of the Super A as almost an extension of what we first did with GP. Right? So if you were to go back to the introduction of Grand Pacific, well, this is like the already mixed and mastered version of a heritage-based guitar using V-Class as the internal architecture. Say, this is a more adaptable design. We could create some new sounds with this. And so we build this super high fidelity version of it. Cool. Well, let's go further. Now I'm putting this interesting neck design, and of course aesthetic details, all that, plus an even further revised version of that top bracing. Okay, now, great. Let's take that idea and push it even further, kind of reverse adapt it into Grand Pacific shape. And so this is the same perimeter outline as the Grand Pacific shape that we've made in the past. I love the set of curves. It's not the same body because a few things have changed significantly. Aside from this action control neck with its long tenon neck joint, you have a similar fanned V-Class voicing for this particular top, more like the Super Auditorium. This body is also grown in depth significantly, not by small, like guitar maker miles, but by like an actual tape measure, measurement. It's a lot deeper. And so now this guitar, it's into the range where you'd see a traditional dreadnought or jumbo, like a big guitar kind of thing. It's actually the depth more like a GO now.
Okay.
And so when you put that kind of lung power behind this top, you're going to feel that.
People have started to kind of comment, the folks who play these guitars, and one phrase I've heard a bit with the Grand Pacific, this version, is it's got a lot of sonic push.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? Like what's happening there that for people to have that experience when they're listening to or playing the guitar?
It's another way to describe the same thing, the same concept that we've been talking about, where you feel that there is a sound being created with the top and the back of this guitar. You hit those strings, you hear this thing light up, but then it's got this support of air behind it, right? Because sound, as we interpret it, it really is a disruption of air pressure. That's what's making it move. That's what makes it travel through air to our eardrums and set the eardrums in motion. It's a pressure change. And so by the time you put a little extra lung power behind it, there's physicality there, right? This is not magic traveling through air. Air has substance. It's got mass. It's got a thing. So when you change that and you set a big piece of air in motion, you're going to feel it.